But if I have a different opinion, I'll let you know. And if your opinion isn't a good one, I'll let you know.
Would you take Bo or Max Domi? When Jim Benning gets to the table and he sees JT Miller, I think that's what made him hit the gas.
You make those trades.
Look at what he's done being emerged into our lineup. It's night and day.
He's going to be our next Sammy Saddle, besides playing half a game a year.
So sick of people acting like he hasn't been that bad. Dude, he has been atrocious. It's these mental gymnastics you have to go through to get to Collins' mind space on this train is just, to me, it's way too much. Mr. Horvat has been bad. He's our captain. This is such a stupid take, Colin. Oh.
I thought it was so weird. Dahlen was.
I think that was weird to me. Like
they must think he's coming in.
You know what? I'm gonna take a note of that because he was a former Canuck who was written off. He's only 23 years old. Jonathan.
Yeah.
I guess he went to Sweden and fixed his game. Well, San Jose has also got so many old guys with huge contracts. Like,
but Dahlen, we never got rid of him because of that. He was just unhappy. But
no,
he was already producing it. Yeah.
We got rid of him because he wasn't willing to put in the work.
Right. Okay. Right. But his points were already pretty good. Like he was already good. We all liked him.
Yeah.
And we thought he was going to play with Petey. Yeah. And then they sold it that way. But obviously, San Jose still thinks he's going to be a good player. Otherwise,
Well, I don't think there's any reason to cut that content out because that was pretty good. So why don't we just welcome back to the Hockey Hour? This is another
recording?
episode. Yeah, we're already recorded. So
all right,
welcome back. This is another episode after the expansion lists have been out. We are here to, I don't know, what are we here to discuss? What are the topics?
I'm the host. I'm back at it again, and we'll discuss the Jason Dickinson trade for one because that's pretty noteworthy, I'd say. And then it's going to be expansion draft talk. We're going to go really into detail, though. It's not going to be your average bullshit where people just, fake it till we make it. We're going to go into detail and actually talk about this thing, and we'll probably go for a good hour and a half, my guess, but this will be a good one. So, of course, let's start with the Dickinson trade. I mean, it's a third-round pick, if not allowed, and yeah, I guess it's signed, but we need a third-line center to take over Sutter, and I see him as younger Brandon Sutter, really. I mean, he's got great face-offs, great bottom six ability, and probably sign him. You think signing him for $3.5 million, $3 to $3.5 million is too much? We'll get into that.
I do.
But I mean, I think it's so valuable. Like it's hard to get those guys in those roles who can kill penalties, win draws, play smart defense, and he's 26 years old. He fits our mold, and he's not a small guy.
Mm-hmm.
And let's look at his stats right here. I pulled it up on my computer. So his faceoffs aren't amazing. They're 46%. It's not great, but it's not horrible either. He's let's see here. He's 296 faceoffs last year. He won 137 of them, so it's less than 50%. But he's got great analytics. He's got great puck possession numbers. And again, he's 26 years old. He hasn't hit his prime yet. So I almost see him as like a young Kessler who doesn't have that offensive. He hasn't shown that offensive ability. He might not have that offensive ability, but almost like a young Kessler in a way. So we will start with
good chance he is in his prime.
Yeah.
I mean, the prime isn't 30 anymore.
No.
I believe the prime, we've had this argument before, but I believe it's in 23 to 27.
Yeah.
But I've made this comment before on past podcasts, but players can't be looked at just as their quality as their value. It's not that simple. The value of a player is the quality of the player versus the contract he has. So there's a lot, really, a fair deal puts a player at a net zero value when you factor in his contract. That would be the correct contract that should be negotiated. Often, especially in free agency, the contract is more than the player's value. And that's why we see so many Louis Ericssons and stuff out of free agency, Tyler Myers. A lot of guys who should be liked by their fans, but they're just overpaid enough where it's a piss off. So,
fair enough.
Going to the Dickinson thing, he's not. He has potential to be really good deal for us. The third round pick is nothing to be terrified about, but it all comes down to what we end up signing him for. Mm-hmm. And I'm willing to pay decent money for a third line center, but that third line center should be getting more than 15 points if you're paying decent
I
money.
agree. Yep. He should be getting 30 points, in my opinion.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then to me, that is $3.5 million. But for a 15-point defensive guy, I do think you need to be no more than 2.5, probably more in the 2 range.
I'm going to counter that because I just don't see guys with that ability to. It's not a lot of money. 3 million. It's not much anymore. Like we don't like.
You can't just start giving away money though.
No.
The whole point of a GM and a team is to get as best value contracts as possible so you can build the best team. Like we can't just start being okay. If you are okay with giving everyone the maximum they should possibly get, then that's how you end up in a really bad cap situation with a very mediocre team.
Can we get the fact that there's other players in the league who are like Dickinson who are not taking $2.5 million?
And I'm sure there's lots on 1.5.
Okay, so what, you just don't sign him then because he doesn't want to?
No, you don't. We're going to judge my point is we're going to judge the trade on where we land on this contract.
Yeah,
I mean,
if he gets any more than what Brandon Sutter got during his negotiations, then it doesn't make any sense, which would be like 4.8, 4.5. He shouldn't, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think we said 3.5 would be a fair offer and range if he becomes a third line center who's killing penalties, who's putting up 30 points because we're able to now maybe surround him with some pieces.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like if you can't surround him with any pieces, you can't ask him to do much as well. But I think we're at the point where you can have a Tyler Mott and I don't know who else, Highmore, some of these guys that are going to be on the fringe of your lineup who do have enough talent to make a decent production, right? So I think that, like you said, it will depend on what the contract becomes. Like we've given guys like I can't even think right now. Let me look at the freaking lineup. Roussel, we've given Vertan, and obviously anywhere from 2.5 to 3.
But Roussel almost got 50 points one year.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So we've given these guys who can get that. Just injury has plagued him, and that's unfortunate. So maybe we'll see if we can get a 3 to 3.5. That's why I think we've kind of landed on that number being like decent. It doesn't make sense. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But if it's anywhere higher than that, we better see some real production.
That 30-point season, so we don't want to be paying for what he might be.
But that's what a lot of teams do. They'll pay for the upside.
But it's not a good system.
But if it
no, it's not. But
especially in the bottom 6, you've got to get value out of there. You have to be on cheap deals. Otherwise, you tend to have to let those guys walk and try to replace them with another guy. It really comes down to having good pro scouting. If you have good pro scouting, you have the ability to let guys walk because you can replace them.
Yes, but that's the point. Most of those small contracts come from guys that you're able to actually find, and then you have to pay a little bit, like 3.5 for these guys like Beagle and freaking Roussel, and maybe someone like Dickerson, because you weren't the guys. Dickinson, I know I'm going to call Dickerson forever. Dickinson, so it's just. Maybe you have to do that if it gets you over the top and we're able to lock in someone who's long-term, especially if it is a long-term contract too. Maybe we can get him somewhere where it makes sense for both of us. And I don't know.
I'll say one thing. I guarantee you, and I believe in this. He will sign for between 3 and 3.5. He's not going less. I guarantee it.
You very well could be right. I have no idea, but I think that is a huge overpayment. No, I really do. I really think it should be more around.
Dylan, you're not going to pay these guys $20 a day to play in this league anymore.
$2 million.
That's so low for these. Like
that is not.
If he was 32 years old and had a career of getting 17 points a season, I'd agree with you. But he's 26. He's going to a new situation where he's going to have more room to grow. Dallas is a deeper team. Go ahead.
Elias Pettersson 3 times more valuable than him?
Is Elias Pettersson 3 times more valuable than him? What do you mean exactly by that?
Is he 3 times more valuable to your team? Is he offering
a $9 million player? Is what you're saying? Is he $9 million? Yeah,
easily. He's at 5 to 10 times.
Yeah.
See, that's why you want to save your dollars for these best players, right? You want to bring in these guys.
Yes, but when you're negotiating with players, they don't go, oh well, I've only had 17 points in this league. They go, that guy's making 3.5. That guy's making 3.5.
Yeah, and then the GM goes, this guy's making 1.5. This guy's making 1.5.
Okay, so
this guy's making 1.5. Then you meet there in the right.
What guy in his role who's making 1.5? Pull it up right now.
Okay, I will after this podcast because I'm not going to sit here for 30 because it's going to take some time.
That's fair.
But I will gladly go through and I will see what I can find. and I'll find comparables. Because 15 points, I can find a fuck ton of comparables at 15 points. There's a
What?
lot of
I
guys
guess
who.
he's made, what, 22 points? That's his total.
Who?
You're talking about? Like Dickinson?
Is it 22?
And for all, you know what, for all,
Yeah,
I don't know
22
his
points. He had
exact
50
role in
points this year
Dallas.
and
I don't know his
50
exact role in
games.
Dallas, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's playing on the fourth line all year through his career in Dallas.
Because, like, dude, look at, like, Kerfoot. Kerfoot's making 3.5. He's a way better player.
Ooh.
Kerfoot's a way better
No,
player.
I don't know about that.
Kerfoot is a way better player. So is McCann. McCann's a better player.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
McCann's a better player.
Yeah, McCann, I'll agree.
cannot
I'll
argue.
agree with that, but I wouldn't want McCann on my team at this point. But
Sure, but he's making what, like 2, I think it is? 2.2?
do you watch Dickinson? Can you sit there and make that
Dallas
comparison?
Stars. To be honest with you, I've watched a decent amount of Dallas when they were in the playoffs 2 years ago. I don't know if he was not playing enough. I didn't even notice Dickinson.
Maybe that's a good thing. You're shutting down the other team. You're not supposed to know sometimes.
And you know, that's very possible. But all I'm saying is there's really good players who make $2.5 million.
I can't see him signing for less than 3. I'd be shocked.
Why?
I hope he
I
does.
just got 2 comparables off the top of my head on Toronto that prove my point exactly. You can't tell me Kerfoot's not a better player and McCann is not a better player.
Well, I don't know. I guess here, let's say this though. Someone like McCann, like we said, we know has obviously some attitude issues or something where teams are tossing him around, and that's going to come in a negotiation. So he's going to take a bit of a pay cut. And I don't know when or where Kerfoot signed his contract.
Kerfoot got that contract. It was his
In
last year in Colorado before he was traded. So that would have been 2 years ago.
Okay, so
2 full seasons ago.
yeah, he was still pretty young when he signed that too, and it wouldn't have been probably based on what he's putting up now. But I get what you're saying.
I hear you on that.
And then too, I mean, he's also looking at a team that had all the guys that we're talking about this year, where they're having a cap issue with Landeskog not being able to sign them. They probably were in that same position then. And Zach keeps saying, "Here, sign this deal. We can make something work where you can be on the team that we can do something here." And it's the same with Toronto,
Which I love.
Yeah.
I
So
love that.
and I'm sure he's that kind of person that he did that. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I hope that it's 3. That's all
Put
we
it
can
this
say.
way: in a perfect world, if it was up to us, I wouldn't pay him more than 3 either. But I look at the optics of everyone around the league and what they're getting paid. And at the end of the day, that's what players use as leverage. And the GM can't just say, you know, that's how they use their leverage. That's how these guys get paid this money.
There's lots of guys, though, that get paid at reasonable rates around the league that come out in the last 2 years, get paid exactly how I'm talking.
Okay, yeah.
So why do we have to be the one overpaying? I find that a lot.
I don't think it's overpaying.
The Canadian teams, it seems. I think maybe the media is a part of it, and they drum up things, but it's always the American teams that get these good, valuable contracts. But the Canadian teams always end up fucking overpaying. I think it's an overpay. I think $3 million is a huge overpay.
Fair enough. I completely disagree. I think anything over, let's say 3.25 would be an overpay at this point, but you're not getting them for 2.5 mil. I hope I'm wrong.
2.5
I don't
is
know,
my
I mean,
absolute max. And I think it should be 2.
I'll say this too. I don't know. He's made 1.5 mil last year, like for the last 2 years. So that's not crazy.
It's not crazy.
But I don't know if that's what I mean. Even if you double that, that's not the end of the world. I think is all we're trying to say. It's just 3 million is not the end of the world. Like if you get him for a 3x3,
That would be pretty good.
Like or even a 3x4, let's say, because we could say, let's look at the cap stipulation below. Blah, blah, you can earn a real contract, or we say even less. Hey, let's do a 2.5x3, just so we can earn something here, and then the cap will go up, and we can see if you deserve it. Hopefully, that's what they say, but. We're also just talking about Jim Benning too.
That's the problem.
This is why too. Yes, it sucks that we're probably overpaid because that's just what we do. We have to be the people to do it, but it's probably gonna be 3 mil. This is what I'm thinking.
And the problem is the cap runs out fast if you start doing that with all your players, right? Okay, fine, this guy we can give him a little more. Okay, fine, then it's runs out. You want to be doing the opposite, where you're saving on each contract, ideally. My concern is that he wants the type of money that you guys were talking about.
Yeah.
And that's why Dallas was wanting or willing to get rid of him. That's my concern.
One thing I'll say, well, they have Radek Faksa, they have Radek Faksa as a third line center in the future. But one thing I'll say is, I mean, when Benning traded for Miller, his numbers were inflated once he came here. I don't watch Dallas a lot, but I'm pretty sure he was on the fourth line all year last year, playing behind Radek Faksa. And as a fourth liner, you're not going to get 30 points a year playing center.
Sure.
So, for all we know, he can come here and become that player.
Sure, but why are we paying him when he hasn't done that? Why?
Because he hasn't had the chance yet.
But why would you? That's the whole point.
The potential's there.
That's the whole point of pro scouting. You see that potential, and then because he hasn't had the shot, you sign him for fucking cheap, and then you put him on in that position.
We're not offering him $4 million a year. $3 million is still cheap. It's not a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
No, it's not.
Dude, if you
it is not a lot of money.
Millions to everyone. That's $18 million for your players.
Yes, but this is a guy who's not some random Zach McEwen. He's actually shutting down other guys. He's taking away a lot of defensive responsibilities from more back. For on the fourth line. On the fourth line. How do you expect the fourth liner to get 30 points a year?
Exactly, but why are we paying until he hasn't done it? Like, why are we
I get that.
rainbows and sunshine, take some fucking cash?
I get that. Okay, well, that's where what you do is you meet the guy in the middle and say, look, last year you were on the fourth line, you got 17 points. This year you're probably going to get more, but you haven't done it yet, so we'll meet you in the middle, and that's $3 million because he's probably asking for 2.75 to 3.5. That's my guess. He's going to be asking for that because that's the comparables around the league. So that's when you meet him in the middle.
I guarantee I'm going to be able to find.
I keep track of every fucking contract.
You're probably going to be able to find some though that are also getting paid a lot more and being way overpaid.
I keep track of every contract signed, and I know each player's worth to a pretty good degree because I keep track of it in my head. I don't have it on paper, but every time a guy signed, I go, okay, let's say a fourth liner, he should be getting paid between 800 and 1.5 mil at most. Let me agree with that. Third liners go for between 2.5 and 3.5, very rarely 4. We can agree to that.
Sure.
Well, that's where the conversation ends.
But he's a fourth liner.
Right. But he
in that system, and in our system, he's a third line.
Yeah,
sure.
Like that's all we're trying to say.
My point is, so let's try to sign him as a fourth liner. Let's sign him for fourth liner dollars. Why wouldn't we? That's what you should be striving for. We should be looking for deals, and also 3.5 is the best fucking third liner. He's not going to come in and be the best third line center.
You don't know that.
Oh my
God. You don't know that.
That's so ridiculous.
No, I'm not. I think if I was sitting here trying to argue that he should be getting paid $3.75 million, then you are 100% correct. But I don't think I'm being unreasonable at all here with what I'm saying he should be signed for. I don't think I'm being unreasonable.
I think it's fucking crazy.
Steve Beagle is getting paid $3 million.
And it's an overpay.
Austin doesn't think so.
It's an overpay.
Oh, because he's our third line center, and like we said, that's what we signed him for.
I agree. This is an overpay, but you had very valuable reasons as to why you didn't think it was.
Yeah, exactly.
On past
and I think the same thing. He's at the end of the day, he's a former first line center, or first round centerman who's been taken at 29th overall, which is the end of the round, but still, who's been able to show something. He's 26 years old, just entering.
Not 31.
Like I think, like you said, yes. I hope we're able to convince him, and I hope they're able to convince everyone to take a team friendly.
I love that. Yeah.
I just
pay him
don't
Pedersen
know
$2 million a year for all I care.
Even if it's even if it's a 2x2, I don't care. That works for me.
That's great. I love it.
I would love that, but I just don't think that it's gonna be realistic because of what they're gonna be demanding of him in our lineup.
When you put in scrubby player for 82 games, scrub from the AHL into your fourth line, how many points will they get over the course of a season?
I don't know,
8, 10?
Yeah, I can say like
so this guy had
watch your 15. I know, I don't know what to say.
Sorry. This guy had slightly more. He had a few more points.
Yeah. But he's also, but like,
you can pull that guy for.
Do you know how many GMs? I'm not saying like you have a valid point that like why would you pay for the potential, but at the same time you can also do that because what if the guy ends up being better than that potentially you think he is?
Maybe I would not think he's going to become a 50-point player.
Oh God, I'm not saying that.
But 30 points is that 3.5, right? 30.
Yeah.
So he would need to go up to 40, 50 points. I don't see it. I can't imagine it.
If he got, well, I'm not saying 40 points. Like
But that's what you would need to, in your theory, go above that potential.
Well, I'm just saying examples. I'm not saying specific to this one.
But in this example, he would have to go to 40 to 50.
I just think that I don't know if the numbers in your head with certain players is correlating.
You need to be cheap as hell. The best teams are cheap as hell. That's how they become the best teams.
Yes, but you have to be reasonable. You can't just make your own freaking idea in your head of what you should pay guys when the league is still not doing the same thing.
I'm being reasonable. I'm saying you were a fourth
I don't
liner
know.
and you got this many points. This is how
I
much you
don't
get
know.
paid for doing that. Here's that much. And you are saying you could be a third liner and you could
If he
get
was
this many
on
points, I should
Dallas,
pay you for
if
that.
he was on
That
Dallas,
is ridiculous.
if he was on Dallas at all these
I'm gonna
chance,
fucking sell you
no,
something.
if you
I'm gonna
listen to
give
me,
you some
bitch.
seeds, and I'm saying, yeah, but if you water them every day, they might turn into a tree. The same as for a tree.
If he was on Dallas and was getting all this opportunity and blah blah blah, and was playing second line at times, and hell, I hope he wasn't because I sound like an idiot if he was. But if he was, and he still only got 17 points, and I agree with you, but I don't think that was the case. I really think he was playing down the lineup a lot and playing a lot of defensive minutes. He was getting started a lot of the time he came on the ice was in defensive roles. He played that defensive position. So I think his numbers will be inflated pretty good. I think they will.
Very potentially. I'm not arguing there.
I really don't think 2.5 million is a lot of money in this league. I really don't.
Well, that was my absolute maximum.
I just don't see it. I disagree. I think you need to take a look at players in this league and get a better idea of what they should be paid because it's a bit of a trend I've noticed.
Well, I've given you a couple ideas off the top of my head, and I will.
Yeah, Kerfoot, sure, that's one, and that's fair.
McCann, two off of the.
I think you're overvaluing McCann's defensive abilities a bit.
I think he's a better player.
He's a better player, sure. He's getting
2.2.
45 points a year. He's obviously a better player. Doesn't mean he's better in the role that Dickinson will be playing.
And I'm sure those are probably a bit inflated by who he's playing with as well.
Sure.
So I don't know.
I think
at the end of the day, we'll just see what happens because we also don't know too. Like maybe they're also just seeing him as a lockdown fourth line center who's our number one penalty killer. Like I don't know, maybe that's also something they're looking at. It's not like our third line answer.
Yeah.
Maybe the media people are talking about it more as what they think, but you'll never really know until you get to camp and see who comes through with your free agency and who comes through with all of your contracts, because it also doesn't become that big of a deal if you sign him to a $3 million contract and with the intent to be your third line center, and then also get guys like Howard Luck and get guys like I don't know who else. We have a bunch of UFAs, I think, in the low end of our lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So guys like that to sign cheap contracts because they know they're going to be playing those roles and be able to play with the potential in this lineup. That's where you're going to get your value. So if you're able to balance that, I don't know if these people are smart enough anymore to do those things. So everything I say at this point is speculative. But yeah, I mean, it would make sense, but if we end up paying everyone $3 million like we've been doing the last 8 years, then that doesn't make sense.
That is the nightmare.
And that's what I can understand you foreseeing.
Again, it was wrong in the case because the guys we signed, this is a bit of a different scenario in my opinion, because your third line center is really important that it's a good third line center in this league. It's huge, actually. It's like when we signed Beagle, he was 33 years old. When we signed Roussel, he's a winger, he's known for his grit, but he's not really known for his defensive abilities. Those were wrong contracts. But this guy, it fits the mold of what you want your team.
He's not going to be a top end third line.
I'm not saying I don't know. None of us know. You don't know. You can't sit there and say that.
This is no different.
You can't sit there and say that.
Different.
How can you say that? How can you say that?
For this is just so thin at this point. This is so ridiculous.
I guess here
every time we're getting a player, it's the same thing. We take on these great heights that he's going to be the fucking next best thing. They're always going to improve. We always think they're about to improve. Why do we always convince ourselves? Like it's just,
when we got Miller, he improved.
No, Mangiapane
Yeah.
makes $2.4 million.
When did he sign that contract?
I would have to
Not seriously, but I would just say this: if I understand Tampa Bay is a little bit over the salary cap, but if we want to use them as the peak then for what you pay players in their positions, like Yanni Gord's making 5.6 mil. Okay, so let's say 5 mil is the top end for a third line center.
I agree.
Yeah.
So once again, then 3 million isn't like we're
Groundbreaking.
Isn't like we're expecting him to be a Yanni Gord who probably I don't know what he puts up. I'll check.
Good
But I think
point.
like 40 points a year.
But Yanni Gord is like
he'll be a second line center on anyone else's
absolutely.
team.
He's way better.
yeah,
He's a second line center on pretty much every team in the league.
Oh, easily. Like he is 5 or 6 times better.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm saying we're gonna
100%.
pay.
And that's just what I mean. Like you're talking about the top
I
end
agree.
of a third line center at this point in the league, where he's a young
Elite
guy
third line center,
still.
But
Yeah,
I think
that's a
he's
lead, I
probably
guess.
on
Yeah.
the low end of third line center.
I don't think he'll be in the low end. I think he'll be in the middle. I think that's what I think. Just based off reading him, I've done a lot of research already, read a lot of stuff about people who've actually watched him play.
So, but once
It's
again,
not.
let's hear like just if we want to compare him to Yanni Gord, even Yanni Gord's had 36, 30, 48 points over the last 3 years. His top was 64 points, so he has had a really good year. Obviously playing with Tampa Bay, but so what? Dickerson's had 15, 20, 25. So it's like half. Essentially, let's say in his career.
2.1 million.
Yeah.
It depends.
McKinnon makes
It's
2.1
honestly when
million.
they sign these contracts.
Martinook makes 2 million.
Oh, Martinook?
Jesper Fast
You're
makes 2
comparing
million.
a Martinook? Martinook's like 38 years old.
They're the same type of
He's
players.
like 38 years old.
Jesper Fast, he's young. He makes 2 million.
Jason Dickinson isn't that good.
Neither
not
is
very good.
Dickinson. He's 17.
You can't sit there and compare these guys. These guys are not very. They're very, they're on the lowest spectrum of third line centers you could possibly have. They're barely third line center. Martinook's a fourth line center.
Yeah, he is.
Jesper Fast is barely a third line center. These guys are not very good. And like I just said, I've done my research, and Jason Dickinson is extremely good defensively. Extremely good defensively. Those guys aren't bad defensively, but they don't have the upside to become anything more than what
Last
they are.
year, Fast had 19 points. The year before that, he had 29.
Jesper Fast isn't a very good line.
But he's
But he's-
33-point season.
Yeah,
Yes,
but he's an
but
offensive guy.
He's an offensive guy, is what I'm
Sure,
saying. But his
we need to
defense
compare-
isn't very good, though.
But it's only 2 million. They're equal in value for sure.
I'd pay more money for a guy who has upside and already is good in that role.
Look, I like defense too. All I'm saying
You love
is,
defense.
I love defense. All I'm saying is this is not worth 3.5 million and not even close.
Well,
These-
okay,
Here's
3.5
all
is
these
the max.
guys making
3.5 is
2.
the max.
Here's all these guys making
Those
2.
guys are not guys.
Cedric Popcat, 1.6.
He's a fourth line center. He's not good. He's not very good.
Fourth line center.
He's not very good. He floats around team to team. He's not very good.
I'm not.
He's a fourth line center. Cedric
These are not-
He's competitive
not
guy. I
good
like him a
examples.
lot, but he's a definition of a fourth line center. I guess.
Yeah.
But I would say like mid tier. And what does he make? Yeah, but what does he
Maybe a
make?
bit
What does he make?
Yes, but that's not his potential.
What does Piquet make? So I'm curious.
1.65 million.
1.65. Okay, yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. If we're signing him to be that, then sure. But that's what he was just making, 1.5 million. So
He's playing down the lineup.
Maybe 2. Like, they should
and
probably-
Paquette is like a career guy, same thing. He's probably near, I don't know, the tail end of his career, about 28 or 29, 30, 31. I don't
I
know.
think
He's
he's
a little
actually
bit, I
31.
feel like he's a bit older. I
Yeah,
can't remember though.
Jesper Fast
I usually
sucks.
overrate guys, but
He's not.
But no, yeah.
Well, offensively, he's definitely a better player.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure, but you know,
I don't want him on my team either, but I'm giving you guys. I'm trying to get comparables.
Yeah.
your third line center, if he plays good defense, can put 25 points up a year, and can win draws and kill penalties, then that's a fucking good third line center.
It's a pretty good.
And
third
shut
line
down
center. It's an okay third line center. It's good enough.
Well, yeah, we can't shut down
We
Gord.
would like to have the best. third
Yeah,
line
for
center.
sure, absolutely. We would. Like, put it this way: when the Canucks went to the Cup final in 2011, me and Manny Malhotra were third line center. He wasn't an offensive guy at all, but he was the fucking amazing defensively. Did all that shit so well, and look how good he was first. He got 30 points.
Makes 3 million, dude.
Do not bring up Dylan Strom's name in this situation. Please don't.
Why?
He sucks defensively.
But he's a good offensive player, so they're equal. One sucks offensively, and like they're.
That's not the
I think Dylan
point.
Strome is a better. Dylan Strome's a better player.
Yes,
I don't know.
offensively he
yeah,
is.
but I just
Offensively.
think too, like third line, offensive third
Dylan Strome's more of a
line
top
players
six
are just
player. Look at Dylan Strome's
anything. Like
look
Michael
at how
Grabner, he's the definition of that. Like they're just guys, they're just throwaway players. So
Yeah.
if you're a role player, that's what gets you from that 2 to three and a half. I don't think this is that big of an argument. I think we kind of
Ye-
just going
sorry,
way
I
too
know.
assaulted that.
I just.
I don't know. Like, I guess
know.
see where you guys are coming from, but
Oh,
Is what
it
it
was
is.
it's been a long time since we
Jack Roslovic, $2 million. Way better in every way. In
How
every
old is he?
facet. I think he's like 26.
When it depends when they sign these contracts. They could be making less than what they're worth, right? Because they signed it at the time.
what are you gonna fucking idiot?
Yeah, and they had potential, but some GM wasn't fucking stupid enough to pay them on their potential. I mean, come on. 24, Roslovic.
Anyways, regardless of what
I mean, he's at the end of his contract right now, so he's gonna get a new contract.
He's gonna
this
get
year.
paid.
No, he's got one more year.
Oh yeah, sorry.
regardless, okay, let's say I'll meet you in the middle. I'll meet you in the middle and say maybe I could see him getting paid 2.75, but there's no fucking way he's gonna miss that. There's just no way.
I guess just like same thing. Like at the end of the day, what you both are saying are correct, but
I'm right.
yes, you're always right. But what you don't realize is just essentially these guys are getting paid a bit less than what we're expecting him to get paid. But like Colin's been pointing out, you have to see when these contracts are signed. Most of them are probably like Roslovic, where they were signed a year ago or 2 years ago when they were 23, 22.
But Roslovic was already a better player.
Yeah, exactly.
He was already a better
so he was getting paid more, 2.2 million to 1.5 million. Those are the contracts they were signed for.
But
It was
when
the
Roslovic
almost the
signed his
same
contract for 2,
Yeah.
he was a better player than Dickinson is now.
Yes, and now they're at one. Oh, yeah, his now. I don't know about that because once again, I haven't watched them both with that much time, but I do like them both as players. So I think they both play their roles well. It's just once again, what you see someone to be in your lineup is what's going to end up being what we pay him. So
Yeah, I mean,
I
He
just,
also wasn't
but I
protected.
just think like Roslovic after this year is going to probably get 4.5 million. If he's on the trajectory that he's keep going, because he can be a different and better player. Because if you look at the trajectory,
He also
guys,
wasn't protected. Though.
they're going this way, and one is slowly peeling off. Eventually, obviously, one's gonna have a bigger gap and be that much better than him. And I think he's already gotten that point. But when he signs that contract, it'll show the difference. And if he ends up making less than freaking Dickinson, then we look like idiots, probably.
I mean, if he's not viable,
Once again,
I'm just saying, if he's not viable to the team, I've heard great things
he's
about him.
protected.
He isn't.
Yes, he is. I got it right here.
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I heard differently. Okay.
Jack Roslovic's a great player.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good. But we're not that far apart in reality. My absolute max is 2.5. Your absolute minimum is 2.75. So it's right there. Let's move on.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a list of players. We'll start with the big names like Fleury, Tarasenko. You might need to help me a bit here.
Price.
I already said that. Did I say that?
You said
Oh
Fleury.
fuck! I didn't mean that.
I
Price.
was gonna say, what are you?
Getzlaf is on there, even though he's old. Matthew Shane, PK Subban, Ryan Johansson, Jacob Voracek. Who else? Frederick Anderson. There's a lot of big names. A lot of these guys are UFAs, so I mean,
that's what makes it so interesting. I did my little bit of a mock draft today on Cap Friendly, and which showed that it was so interesting how so many teams didn't really have that hard of decisions because it's so many UFAs that it's just like, okay, if they take you, they've obviously already had these conversations with the guys where it's like, we're not going to protect you because you're a UFA. So even if they take you, we're still going to make a competitive offer that we want to keep you, or they're going to say, hey, we're not going to protect you because we think that if they take you, you're going to have a better chance in their organ. Like they probably have those conversations with guys, or they just
right now though, Seattle's allowed to talk to these guys. Yeah, 3 days. So a lot of what's going to happen in this draft is dependent on how those conversations go. Yeah, for sure.
Do you think they go off? What do you think the Atlantis go? Do you think they offer him $7 million a year?
I think maybe they'll make them an offer, but I think Landeskog's going to end up in Colorado.
I agree. Yeah.
I think that's the plan.
I think the only thing I've been thinking about as I did my draft was, okay, you've got guys that are available. Which, I mean, even some other guys that I don't really like that are available, like PK Subban, 9 million, like, no, 100%. But you see essentially that these guys have such a big cap hit, so why would I take them if I can talk to a Landeskog or talk to an Ovechkin even, which I know he wants to stay there, but whatever, just throw that name out as the free agent and be able to say, can we make a deal that's even 8 million or 9 million, because that much more dealing with them is going to be worth more than taking someone like Ryan Johansson to be your number one. Essentially, I'd much rather have Landeskog and then maybe a Domi than Johansson. Domi is leading my franchise.
I was surprised when I heard Johansson's name, but he's making $8 million. He's not worth $8 million.
He's really regressed.
He has.
I really don't think that.
He's a
60. But the thing I've always had with Nashville is they just fucking don't know what to do with wingers.
I know.
Like,
well, he's a center.
I know, but that's what I mean. But they can never surround anybody with fucking anybody.
Yeah,
like,
well,
Philip Forsberg, I don't know what happened with him. Like, he's just kind of.
He's there. It's just.
I know, like, but then other than that, like Kevin Fiala, he's gone. He goes to Minnesota. Like, any of their decent guys end up leaving, or they just miss on these fucking guys like Duchesne and obviously Johansson.
Yeah, it's like their guys just are. It's weird. It's like they were such good players. Now, like Johansson, I don't think he's ever been an $8 billion player personally. Even at his best, he was a 60 point guy. He's never been. Like, that's too much money for him to begin with. He should be at 6.5 million, in my opinion, 7 million. But I can't.
Always over
I don't think
players. So.
Yeah, I know. I don't see him again. I don't know. Like, it's hard. Like, do you pick him up or do you make a trade and then get them to retain salary? Like, what do you do? Like,
I don't think I'd take Johansson or Duchesne.
No, not Duchesne. I can't stand Duchesne.
I think they want someone to take one of the two. I think they like Seattle to take one of the two. I think you just pass on.
That Duchesne contract is just awful.
I think out of the big names, although Tarasenko has had his injury troubles, I think I'd probably take Tarasenko.
You would?
I think so.
I've heard he's got major attitude issues for the last couple of years. That's like the reason why they basically almost gave him away. He was on waivers, wasn't he, at one point? I don't know if he was, but regardless, I've heard some stuff about him. He's got 2 years left on his contract, so it's not the end of the world, but...
Interesting. I don't know anything about that. I can't speak to that.
Sam McCann, same thing. That's why he got traded for so little. They barely give up anything.
If that's true,
it's true,
definitely want to avoid it. But just for the quality of the player, I think I would take Tarasenko. I wouldn't take Price. I wouldn't take.
No, you don't take Price.
No, not for $10 million.
In my expansion draft, essentially looking through it today, I was doing, what if I just took the players that, if I wanted to win now, would set me up for the best success. So I took, taking someone like, and I also just wanted to see, like, if I took all these big name players with these cap hits, what would it look like? How much room would I have? And it wasn't terrible. I think it still had 15 to 20 million to play with. Still taking someone like Carey Price, not loving the contract, but knowing that if I take someone like Carey Price and either negotiate a Landeskog or one of the big free agents, or even take a Ryan Johansson, those contracts maybe expire in 4 years and you can work something out after that or buy Price out. But I think that's just going to give you the most elite position, especially knowing this NHL, having a 1-2 punch at goaltender is the way to go. And if you can get Drager to sign a decent contract that's even a 3-year deal or something like that, that makes sense. Knowing that, you're going to be, even give a Robin Lehner-esque trying deal and make it like 5 mil, 4.5 mil, that's team friendly, and be like, hey, we're going to do something here. It could make sense, but otherwise, no. But it's pretty tough to take on 10 mil for a guy that's reaching I don't know. Like I said, I think he's reaching the latter end of his career. You might get 1 or 2 more years like that where you can get a cup run from him, but having a really good backup is what's going to make that possible, which is why I think it looks like the perfect fit for Seattle if they have that in mind and if they can work something out and like you said, use this time wisely to talk to these guys and have those decisions planned out. And then even taking on Tarasenko and letting that go for 2 years and then letting that go and see what happens. But I think having those players in those positions are going to set you up because you're going to have your 1-2 punch at a center and a winger and potentially a number 2 center and a Max Domi or someone like that. And then obviously you're gonna have some free agents that might want to come. And one thing that kind of sucks doing these expansion drafts is you don't get to take into consideration the side deals that you know are gonna happen.
Yeah, it's
like
hard.
There's
a time.
Like I just have this feeling of no matter what, it would make sense for Seattle to take someone from Tampa Bay because they can take Killorn, Gord, or freaking Palat. Any of them is a good pick without having to give up anything.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And they're all at $5.5 million to maybe, I think Palat maybe 6.4, I think.
Yeah.
But still like decent numbers for what they put up. And it's like, why would you make a deal for Tyler Johnson? But I know that they're gonna do it. Just because I feel like Tampa Bay is gonna make a package and say, here, take Tyler Johnson. Only because, like I said, he's a Seattle native. It makes sense for your team. They've been trying to get rid of him, and Tampa Bay might be able to say, you know what? What if Tampa Bay comes to and says, I guess take Tyler Johnson and take Alex Killorn, which a little bit less cap hit, but maybe that stays, and then take a pick instead of taking Palat or Gord.
If I'm Seattle, I need like a first round pick to skip on Gord. I mean, Gord is a player of that caliber is so rarely available, and it just puts them like when I look at that. Okay, so a couple things I observed today. So I went through and I kind of I didn't write down exactly this, but I went through who I was most tempted with on each team, and what I realized is they can get everything. They can get a whole good forward group. They can get top line centers. They can get all of it. They can get good goalies. They can get good defensemen, but they can't get top pairing defensemen. Yeah. So they need to shove money away and have it so that in free agency or through other deals, they can bring in a 1 and 2 defenseman. Other than that, they can get everything else right now to be a good team.
What I was going to say is I think this list is absolutely stacked compared to the one from before from Vegas. It's way better.
Yeah, it is.
It's way better. And if they can do it right, like, fuck.
But the thing is, too, there's so many guys on those lists that I'm looking at who are RFAs that would be just so sick if they could make deals with them. Like, if you don't want to take on a Tarasenko, that's fine. Go take Vince Dunn and try and sign him to a 4x4.5. Like, he's an amazing defenseman who could end up being your number 2 defenseman shut down for your guy who's going to lead the way because he's got a little bit of two-way skill. And I think he's really good myself. But
who's that, sir?
Vince Dunn in St. Louis.
I've heard he's not the greatest defensive.
He's not the greatest.
I don't know. I thought he's kind of worked on his two-way, but I could be wrong. I don't watch a lot of St. Louis.
I've heard it's a struggle back there.
But I just think he's one of those guys that's shown a lot of potential that you could just, once again, RFA, even if he is struggling, perfect. RFA, sign him to something that's a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
There's just so many guys out there that it's just like,
everyone's talking
you
about
have these talks.
He would go on. He would be a top ranked guy. But dude, Shillington's just sitting there.
I know. I saw that.
Like, I would have to go for Shillington.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't pick Giordano.
Like a lot of people think they will though, but I think I'd go that route. The center position could be so stacked. You could have Gord, Domi, Duchesne, Kerfoot, McCann. Like you could. It is realistic.
There's so
in my mind. I don't think they'll pick Duchesne, but I think the center position will look like Gord, and then Domi.
Yeah, and then Holt's available too
Kerfoot,
if you sign him. Yeah.
And then those are your top 3 centers, and your fourth line center is someone good too.
Granlund's, Johan, like they're UFAs, but they're still available. I mean, it's like holy crap.
It's incredible.
I know it's crazy.
Think about that down the middle.
Yeah.
Just imagine having Duchesne, Gord, Kerfoot, and Domi. That is the right away by far the best center lineup in the league. It's not even close. There's no one who has the quality of centers like this.
Well, I don't know if those guys are. That's an odd order to have them though.
No, I'm not saying that's the order.
No,
I'm just saying that you could have.
Yeah.
They could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Besides, like at Tampa Bay, and that's it.
I think it's better than Tampa's.
Well, what do you mean? I guess you have Point, Cirelli, and then after that you'd have. I'm thinking they'll bring back Blake Coleman.
Oh yeah, they'll bring him
But
back.
I think that's better
You
than.
think that's better than
I
Gord, Duchesne, and Griffin?
yeah.
Domi,
I just
Dor-
think so. Yeah.
Well, okay,
I
I'll stop you there.
value.
I'll stop
I
you
just
there.
value those guys so much.
I don't think Domi and Duchesne are good at actual playing the center position. I don't think they're great at it. They're good offensive players, but they're not great at the actual center
They're not
position.
great defensively. You're right.
No, that's what I mean. So that's kind of.
I actually like Domi. I don't like Duchesne.
Yeah.
I like
Duchene's-
Domi.
I like Domi. I'm not
Yeah.
a huge Duchesne fan.
Yeah.
I'd rather if I was looking at the two, they're both the same contract essentially. I would take Johansson over Duchesne. That's on my
If I was
side.
building a
Me too.
team,
That's why. So it doesn't even like he's not even an option in my
Yeah.
mind.
I don't like not
Yeah,
having a
I know,
natural.
I just-
Yeah, no, 100%. Like,
Spitballing.
but then same thing. Still could be Johansson.
I don't-
Like,
And as a fourth line center, they're pretty good.
yeah.
I don't like having a non-natural center in the center role. I wouldn't want that on my team. I wouldn't want to.
So you
Domi-
play Domi.
I would 100%. I would.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't like. I'm kind of. Excuse me.
Ever since he's
Kind of coming to the point where I just don't care about positions anymore.
Yeah.
because I'm starting to realize like
Yeah.
46% face-off percentage win Stanley Cups, and I just like if you can structurally put together breakouts and offensive attacks and just defensive shutdowns and you know just put it together and like you have a smart mentality and you guys buy into a system. I think that will always be the answer.
Yeah.
I don't ever like I'm just like I said, I'm all over this lefty righty shit. I'm over
Lefty,
everything.
yeah, that's fair. But I do think the center is where you still have to.
A little bit.
I still think the center position is where you got to keep them intact.
No, yeah, I guess so. But like I
Yeah.
say, it's just like to an extent, they should be your most valuable and maybe most talented players
Mhm.
in your lineup,
Yeah.
especially if you can get a 1, 2, 3. But also, you look at a team like us, it would make sense then for them to look at the statistics and have Petey, Horvat, and Miller be your 3 centers. Still to this day, but they will never do that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, like, once again, I've always said, like, you're saying that they should do that this year coming up, but they won't. But so it kind of beats the whole mentality of like, this needs to be the best player. Well, it's like, okay, then put the fucking best player there, surround them by worse players who are good at those positions and trying to get better at them. Then you'll have success. I don't know. Just
I agree.
But like, so it's just like we have this weird mentality in hockey where we have one thing that I don't know, maybe quote unquote the hockey guys or hockey pros or whatever think, and then it's just like the analytical side, but then it's just like, well, none of it really makes sense when they go for one argument that is so contradictory on the other or like hypocritical. So it's just I don't know.
Well, the
Fucking put
beauty of it
together.
is, in terms of the Domi part, is there's enough good centers available. They can put them on the wing.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah. They're gonna take him. There's no way they won't take him.
Well, there's another guy too on
Maybe
Anaheim.
Gord.
Come on, why am I blanking on his name?
Anaheim,
Yeah, who's that?
Getzlaf,
No,
Sonny
the-
Milano.
the next-
Andre Casse.
No, Kyle has
Silverberg.
projected, I think. A Silverberg project. I like Silverberg. And Henry. They'll probably
Henry,
take him.
yeah.
Oh yeah, they'll take him. Yeah, he's
So-
yeah.
I've heard. I don't know. I have one guy who's a Anaheim Ducks fan. He said he's kind of meh.
He's very mad.
He's
Yeah,
okay.
he's not worth his. Yeah, not worth his
He's
contract.
okay.
100%. So I don't know. Like,
He's gone downhill big time since New Jersey. He had a couple good years there, but he's one of those veterans who just is losing. I don't know.
And maybe they won't, because like, dude, there's so many good centers to choose from.
Yeah.
that's just it.
They're gonna be good.
Even then, like I remember last expansion draft, there's one goalie that was flurry. But this one, if you do right, there's like 5 good goalies available. There's freaking Matt Murray, who I think he's overpaid, but he's 26 years old.
He's struggled the last 2 seasons now, though. I wouldn't want Murray.
Yeah, but same
Yeah.
thing. He is 26 years old. Like
He was
got
good
so
at
much
down the
room
stretch.
to grow.
Look how
He's
bad
so
it was
young.
last year, though.
I know.
They're
but
terrible.
He was already losing his
I
job
know.
in Pittsburgh, and yeah, I don't think he's that good.
No, I'm not saying he is, but he's not a write off.
I'll just say this: there's so many young guys that they could take.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like even what's his name, Kakinen? Is that what it is? Kakinen from Minnesota.
yeah.
Even Vidicek.
I can't believe they didn't.
Vidicek from Washington, he came
Yeah.
in this year and
Yeah.
stepped in, and he didn't put up terrible numbers. He wasn't the best, but he was
Yeah.
young, like wasn't meant to be there. Samsonov got injured, and he had to step in.
And,
Like-
and Volkov from Anaheim is another one that's a good young
Yeah.
player.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah,
So-
he's another Tampa Bay guy.
So they can take him. Like, it's just stupid.
I didn't realize
Right, that's who they're
Kakinen.
gonna take from Anaheim.
his stats, man, they actually he had a horrible end of the year.
Yeah.
Kakinen, he's
He's young.
he's 24, but I mean, they didn't protect him. I mean, maybe they know something but
who did they protect them? Who was their other goalie?
They protect Cam Talbot.
Oh, Talbot, yeah. Well, he had a really good year too.
Yeah, he's an average goalie.
He showed that he should have probably stayed in Edmonton.
Yeah, Edmonton freaking Koskinen. Jesus. Yeah, Cam Talbot had a good year, but yeah, I don't know. They have so many options. It's. I'm so curious to see what they actually do in all the side deals because, it's just option after option, really. And if they do it smart, they're not going to take Subban or anything. But I could honestly, Price will be injured all year, apparently. That's one of the reasons he was left unprotected, same with Weber. But I was saying if he wasn't injured all year, if I'm Seattle, I make a deal with Montreal to get them to retain some salary and give them a first and take Price. I absolutely do that.
But you only retain salary for that first year.
Well, how many years does he have left?
5.
Is it?
Oh, it's a big cap.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Carey Price. I mean, that's such a huge name. I don't know. I mean, I would do it if I'm Seattle. I would get them to retain salary and take on the contract. I absolutely do, because that's
There's also this idea in sports that you hear what people want you to hear. And if they're telling you that Shea Weber and Carey Price are going to be out all year,
that's true.
That might be kind of it looks like it's going to be all off season, and then look at that, halfway through training camp they're getting, or halfway through the season, it's look at 100%. It's
could be Bergeron and just playing mind games.
100%. He could be looking at okay, if we can get them to not take these two guys, and we can protect all the young guys we want, all the other guys that are part of their organizational structure are pretty much UFAs. Mm-hmm. A lot of their top 6 guys are pretty much UFAs, or I don't know what Jonathan Drouin's doing, if he's playing hockey anymore.
He's got mental health issues.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what's up there, but he might be kind of exactly that, trying to pull a little bit of a fast one, being okay, let's see if we can squeeze by with these couple guys that we know we want to keep around for a potential another run, but we want to protect these younger guys because they're more valuable.
There was a quote-unquote hockey insider guy who was verified, I'm not going to give names because I forget who it was actually, but he even tweeted, he said there's a lot of people, GMs in the league, who think that the Shea Weber situation is BS and he's just trying to protect Shea Weber. He's not actually going to be hurt all year. That's what he said.
The reason why I don't fully buy that with Price and Weber is because I don't think anyone wants the Price contract, and Weber is getting old. I just don't think they get picked either way. Honestly, I don't see either of them getting picked.
Yeah,
I can't imagine. Would you pick Price?
Like I said, if they sat down with enough free agents and figured out we might be able to win right now. But like I said, if they can sit down with enough free agents and enough guys and say we can win in a next, we can do exactly what Vegas did. But we might be able to win in the next 2 years, and maybe win for a couple years, not win 4 times, but win for a couple years, because we could build such a lineup that even if it's going to regret paying Carey Price for the last 3 years of that deal, you maybe win a cup or 2 because you have already talked to Landeskog, you've already talked to maybe a Taylor Hall, you've already talked to potentially Chris Drager, and had these conversations and said you're going to play with a Hall of Famer and he's going to lead the way for us, but you're going to be there and your guys are going to split it 60-40 or 70-30, whatever it is. And this is what's going to be the key, because we've seen this throughout pretty much everyone except for Andrei Vasilevsky. You have to have a good backup to be able to step in every now and then, just even unload, I guess, from the starter. So, and you can't just go there and lose every game. So we've seen that enough.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I don't know. So what big names would you guys take? You like Price.
Yeah.
What other ones do you like?
I wouldn't take Getzlaf. I don't consider him really a big name anymore. Honestly, he's older. Same with Weber. His contract's another 5 years out.
If I'm them, I'm only taking guys who are a bit on the fringe of their contract if they're local. That's why Tyler Johnson, I think they'll probably maybe work out a deal for them to take it, just
I'd be
because
surprised if it is.
just because I think that Tampa Bay's got enough assets as well that they might be able to say, like, whatever, take Yanni Gord if you want, but here, like, Johnson wants to come home. And freaking, I don't know if that's the truth. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, like, you know, maybe he wants to come play in his hometown, and you guys now can have your assistant captain or captain of your franchise to lead off someone who's from there, who's got cup experience, who like he just came off a pretty decent run too. So if that's your quote unquote elite third line center, like the thing that I kind of foresaw too is if they didn't want to take Yanni Gord and they could work out a deal, like Tampa Bay could say take Palat and Johnson instead, and they could actually reunite the freaking triplets line a little bit, not so much, but get Nemestikov from Detroit and have that be like your killer third line to go out there and run it. Like that'd be kind of cool. But and that would be if they were able to stack on a couple big names ahead of them and they were in a win now situation. Those are things I think you consider just because once again, this is a hometown guy, but anyone else like Getzlaff or like these guys on Shea Weber on the tail end, it's just like, unless you're still playing elite hockey like Carey Price, forget about it.
One thing I forgot about the Montreal situation is he's unprotected, but his contract's over. And if I'm them, I'm so trying for Philip Deneau.
Yeah.
I mean, that's step one with Montreal. I think they have to be trying right now to sign him.
I'm sure they are. Yeah.
I mean, how would you pass on that? Like, I like Carey Price, but that would be ideal.
That's your third line center elite right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But once again, I think these are like, if I'm strategic in a sense, it's not like, hey, I'm gonna take this guy so I can also sign you. But I feel like those are conversations you have to have of like, look, we can use a pick on you, but we'd really want to get you and Carey Price. And I think you know that too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's a lot of the conversations they got to have with guys of like, hey, look, we want you to be a key part of our organization, but we want you and this other great player that's part of your organization that you probably like too.
Yeah.
And would agree, especially when it's someone like Carey Price or it's someone like, I don't know, even I don't know, I guess Landeskog is a good example too. You say, hey, we want to get you both for X amount and we're going to make it happen, but we don't want to waste a pick on you. We want to get you anybody.
Yeah.
We want to get you and freaking Donskoy or something like that. Like, you know, like get these guys that we know will be familiar faces. This is going to be a tough going to a new city, a new organization leading away. We'll bring some familiarity to this. I don't like to me, that's just the way I would be going about it. I don't know if these guys are smart enough to have just like human nature in their thinkings or if it's just like money and hockey talk the whole time.
I generally agree with you. Let's get Landeskog for an example, and I think certain situations where a player is very much tied to an organization, I wouldn't do it in that. Like if you get Landeskog and he's agreeing, I think you just use the pick on him because I do think there's a chance if you go that route, Colorado changes his mind. Over the next.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like let's say, but it's only if you want two players essentially from an organization. Yeah, because like you have to know that that's a risk you're taking, but you're also saying like, hey, we value you, but we also know that we can get you at a later date. When we can sign you to like we're gonna have to sign that contract at July 1st anyway. Like we could just wait and we'll do it when you're available.
And I fully agree. It's just I think there is a few situations where I would 100%. Like if I could get Landeskog on a deal that I feel is pretty good. Yeah, I wouldn't fuck around,
I get that exactly, 100%. If it made sense, then especially if it was like a long-term deal at like $8 million, like he wanted from Colorado, then I think that makes sense because just like you said, well, I'd take that over Johansson or Duchesne any day of the week. Yeah. So that's the trade-off.
To answer your question originally that you did ask me, I don't really have a definitive answer because for all these guys, I think they're getting overpaid. Any of the big names, any big name on here, like Ryan Johansson, he's just overpaid. Yeah. So I only do it on the condition that they take back salary.
Well, let's run through some. So would you do Domi?
Oh, yeah.
Would you do Voracek?
No. He's
also no.
8.25 million or something. Like, that's fucking insane. He's on the way on the like. If I was looking at a big name on that team, I'd rather take JVR at 7 million.
Yeah,
honestly,
I would do JVR.
I know, but that's what I mean. So I can't justify taking Voracek.
I would avoid both of them at this point.
No, me either. I wouldn't take either. But that's once again, if I'm looking at these teams, you also have to look at the comparable pick.
Okay, Taylor. Let's say I know they're UFAs. Let's just say, for example, Taylor Hall.
That one, and because he's a UFA, I think it all depends on what price you can get him for. Like, because that's what they're doing probably right now. They're probably chatting with him, seeing what he wants. Because if you can get him for 6,
and I don't see him staying in Boston.
No?
I can't see them making a contract that makes sense with the guys they need to pick.
What do you think he'll get paid?
I feel like he'll get a bit overpaid.
He'll get overpaid, yeah.
Like, what, 6.5?
I don't think he's been consistent enough to prove that he's capable of being an elite player.
No, make like, what, 6.5 million?
Yeah, I don't know what he makes.
I would do 6.5 for Hall.
That's what I mean.
I think he'll be more like 8.
Like, you really think you get 8?
I think.
I think like 6.5 for like a long term would be nice, but like I don't know.
I think he'll go between 6.5 and 7.5 at most.
But I just don't see, because they have Marchand sitting at like 6 points. Like all those guys are sitting between 6.4 or something.
They have
weird.
re-signed Halak, and all their goalies are.
Rask is up too, which he's gonna be cheap, but he still wants to stay there.
Yeah, right.
And you've got McAvoy. Like I think he's maybe re-signed.
He's re-signed,
yeah.
And same with McAvoy and Carl both re-signed.
Yeah. So then you got Bergevin, Pasta, and Marchand that aren't making the most money.
They're all
either.
6.8 for Bergeron, 6.6 for Pastrnak, and 6.1 for Marchand.
And I can't imagine their contracts I think are up soon, so they're letting them walk.
They're all long.
They are for a long time.
Yeah, they're all really? At least. Well, Pastrnak has 2 more years. He's there.
Okay, that's what I mean. Like, okay, so 2 more years, but Pasta's not making less than many other people in the league. And same with Marchand. It's just that people don't realize these guys are putting up top 10, and Marchand's putting up top 5 numbers.
Oh yeah.
So like, you can't not consider paying him $9.5 million when his contract's up.
Well, he just signed it. He took a team-friendly deal. He's awesome. Like
really?
Oh yeah, it's till 2025. Dude, wow. He just was willing to take less money.
That's crazy. Yeah, like good for them then. That makes sense. I just thought was like the same thing, thinking they must be earlier contracts so they don't make sense. But Pasta, that makes sense because his be up.
Yeah.
And then he'll probably get like $8 million.
The 2 guys on this list who I wouldn't necessarily say they're overpaid, and the biggest names are Jordan Eberle and Yanni Gourde. And those are 2 guys who I would take. I think their contracts are fine for what they are.
So I would definitely take Gord.
Yeah.
On the Islanders, there was someone who I thought about Eberle for a second, and then I saw someone else. I thought, oh no, I gotta take that guy.
I don't know.
Yeah. Let me bring them up too.
Yeah,
because I will have to see. Jordan Eberle, how much is
Brandon Tanev I take too, for sure.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Him. He's only
There's guys like him and even Justin Sorensen, he's a UFA, but I like him. Like and there's one other guy that I can't remember who I take as my center, but there's like those 3 would be your perfect 3rd or 4th line, rather 4th line centers, maybe. Well,
Cody Eakin, I don't even know if he's good anymore. Like he's been floating around team to team for so long.
So I thought I would take Josh Bailey over Eberle.
I had that too, but then I did that, but then I looked at the team after I picked all the players, and I'm just like, is he valuable enough to be paying $5 million where he would probably end up in the lineup?
I hear you.
Like, he probably ends up being your 3rd line winger if you really look at the talent that's available, if they do it right. If they play their cards right, he shouldn't be a top 6 winger, I don't think, in that team.
No, I don't think Eberle would either, though.
No, and that's what I mean. And both those guys are overpaid in that situation.
Yeah.
So maybe
there's so much talent.
I would take Bailey over Eberle. I would.
So what I find interesting, really interesting, is Carolina. I mean, it's just like there's like 10 guys that would be great.
If what I had for mine, I guess, would be Michael Dalcol, just Dalcol or whatever. Dalcol.
I know you're talking.
Yeah, but he's young enough that I think he's got enough value that you can sign him cheap. I think he's only, I don't know, 24, 20-something, 26 maybe. So it's just like young enough that he can be a minor league guy for a year or two and maybe turn into something. I think, and I also kind of just took that approach of like, there's going to be guys they're going to take who they're not going to they're going to probably take guys who are UFAs and with the intention of not re-signing them just to let those contracts expire because they don't want to. There's no one else they really want to take, or every contract's bad, and it's just like, let's just take this guy, and then we can work with it. And I think there's also going to be guys where they're going to just take in the sense of knowing they have to progress and build a minor league system too. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took, like people like Cole Lynn from us, just because it's like, hey, we need to build a minor league system. I had Tyler Benson from Edmonton was my pick with them because it's like you have so many options that you can get. You can get how many third and fourth line wingers through the expansion draft? Like, you can get a million of those.
Yeah.
So it's about getting the right ones that make sense for their contract and right now.
Yeah.
And then letting these 2-3 guys.
That's the tough part.
Even JT Comper's available. He's a good player.
He is.
Yeah.
So Carolina, right away, Niederreiter, very tempting.
Yeah, same. I had him on my list.
But I didn't choose him because you could be trying to negotiate a deal with Dougie Hamilton right now, which there's your top pairing D-man, 1 and 2. And you got Jake Bean as a possibility too.
He's on my list too.
So, I think my plan would be try to get Dougie Hamilton. If I can't get him, then boom, Jake Bean.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah, that's just it. There's so many guys, right? Svechnikov too, Fogle. They could be just working out real cheap deals with these guys and saying, we'll just take that. But Jake Bean, I like a lot.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't believe it.
So they protected Pesci, Shea, and Slavin?
Yeah, okay.
So they would have been Gardner.
They made the right decisions with who they protected.
100%.
They made the right decisions. But
it's funny too, like I said, Nelchkovic was my pick from my original first freaking expansion draft because I thought he was going to be so good. And I think if he doesn't have the year that was this year, he might not have been exposed.
Yeah.
He might have been exposed rather. Like,
kind of came out of nowhere.
If Mrazek somehow held his own or James Reimer, I think they both got injured in a sense.
Well, he was struggling early in his career.
Yeah,
and then
he did well with the checkers and then he just kind of was like floating.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't think he'd pan out, but GM already did, but
I think they're taking Cole in from us. Is that what you guys think?
Cole in? Ooh. I think they're taking Holtby. I do.
Okay.
I don't understand why, but there's been a lot of interest in him. I've heard it. I don't get why. I can't put in my head why. Maybe it's 1 year left on his contract, but there's a lot of interest in him for Seattle. And I do think that they could have a side deal where we do retain a bit of salary. But if we did that, we still have to sign a backup goalie. So I don't know how much money we're actually saving.
Yeah,
but they but that's what I've been hearing. So that's why I'm going with Holtby. But I don't think Colin's ever going to pan out. I don't think he will.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting take. I mean,
I don't think he will.
I thought they would avoid the Holtby contract, especially when there's lots of good goalies available.
Yeah.
But I can see it. I should certainly see it. I think I would probably take Colin looking at this list.
Yeah. Personally.
Our list is so weak.
And no one talks about it. I can also see Lucas Jazz being an interesting choice.
I can't remember if he was
signing in Europe or something.
Oh, he's the one.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was him or one other guy. But that's
Lucas Jazz, he's signed in Europe. Yeah.
And then I saw too today from some page on Instagram that Grajovic is going overseas.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he won't be available either. So it's either Lind or Holtby, either one. And I think at this point they have so many young guys who could pan out that they'll select over Lind, because Lind's kind of at the bottom of that list. So I think they'll go with Holtby, but they won't take Tannen for obvious reasons. We don't know if he'll play again
or I thought Howerluck. Same thing. He's an RFA. Like, if you get him to a cheap contract, I don't think
he did much for us. I don't know. I wasn't that good. He reminded me of Jason Magna. Honestly, he did. A speedy guy who doesn't really do much in your bottom six. That's what
I don't know. I think same thing. I've always felt him and Zach McEwen both look like they have something if they get the right. They get the right pieces, but I don't know. Maybe they don't have that. Maybe they've reached their ceiling. So.
What do you see in Jack McEwen? I want to know your opinion.
I think that more than likely McEwen is just meh, fourth line.
I agree.
I'm fine with having him. But
I agree. I don't think
he's
he'll in my opinion, he'll always be like that extra forward type guy who you
Yeah.
slot in at
I
best.
think that's the most likely thing. Katie's that.
Yeah. I think we're getting close again though.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot. I think, like I
Oh,
said,
for
we'll
an hour.
all do our own little expansions. I don't know if we'll maybe include our side deals or what.
Yeah.
Like do
Good.
one or two like side deals.
Yeah.
We'll all agree on something like that, where you can make like 2
There'll be a
trades or
lot.
something.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of side deals.
And we'll just go from there and just kind of pick our teams and see what we think. And
Yeah, Wednesday's the
know,
day.
yeah, it's gonna be exciting week or two, really. We get Wednesday, and then what's draft is.
I think in 2 more weeks, something like that. I don't know the exact dates.
For some reason, I thought it was only a couple of days after
No. It's next. I think it's next Friday. It's this upcoming Friday, actually, isn't it? Maybe you're right.
That's what I mean.
You're right. It is. It's this upcoming Friday.
July 23rd, 24th. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
You're
I mean.
right.
So we have the expansion draft on
Wow.
Wednesday.
I didn't know
The NHL entry draft on Friday, Saturday.
Holy, that's gonna be a lot.
And then we have free agency the next Sunday after. So there's gonna be so much shit. Like the next 3 Sundays, we're gonna be probably having to do pods because this is gonna be a lot to cover.
Holy, that's good though. That's a good thing. But anyways,
and that's just why too. There's so many things that don't like. There's just so many things to take into consideration when you do these friggin' mock drafts or do the expansion draft, because right there you have the NHL draft. So there's so many things where you could be swapping picks or seeing. You could be seeing, hey, like maybe we actually want to move up. Like if Seattle, maybe we want to move up and take a number, or we want to move down. We want to there's so many options that.
Do you think we stay at 9?
I don't know. I can't remember. Like I said, I was hearing that Detroit had interest in moving up.
I heard that too.
To our number 9 pick for their 21.
I heard that too. If they
I think that's right.
Contract, yeah.
And to take back Louis Eriksson's contract. That'd be a straight across. Like I said, I think that I'd love to see another player come back, even if it's a fringe 7, 8, 9 defenseman that's young with upside. Like I said, maybe Cholowski. I know he's just not exactly panned out to what they want. So maybe you could take advantage of something like that. But I think they've got enough patience to see with that organization. But maybe you can get something back just to see something that's cheap enough. That's a two-way player that you could send down or just pan out. But I just think from everything that I've heard about the draft, outside of the top 10, it's really not a whole lot. Really, outside of the top 5, it's kind of unknown. But on the flip side of that coin, there's going to be so many uncertainties because of the lack of hockey being played this year that you could see guys getting taken in the late first, early second, early third rounds that have actually a lot more talent and skill than we got to see because of the shortened COVID, almost 2 years now, really. A lot of guys' hockey seasons were cut off and then almost didn't have another hockey season. So that's almost a year and a half that we've missed of seeing what these guys can do. And we're just running off almost reputation at this point. And that's why it could be a lot of misses at the high end of that draft board, and there could be a lot of hits at the low end of the draft board just because our scouts haven't been able to see stuff. Our scouts have not been able to go there and see all these guys. And if they have, they're playing 20 games in their leagues where they play the same 3 teams 14 times, right? So it's been unfortunate because at a local level, you see so many guys who are now missing out on opportunities because they never got to show what they can do. Even personally, I know 3 guys that probably could be playing professionally, essentially, in other countries, but because of COVID have not been able to go and pursue that. So I'm sure you're seeing that with your draft boards as well, where it's we just have an idea because we are able to see, obviously there's the 3 main guys out of Michigan that are supposed to be huge, Owen Power, and I'm not sure what the other 2 names are. I'm not huge on the draft board stuff, but That maybe because a lot of the other guys that aren't that talented, you're seeing just because of proximity. We're not being able to see a lot of those guys overseas and what the real talent is. So it's going to be a very interesting year. But if they like all of our top 10 picks have been pretty good.
Yeah.
In the Jim Benning era.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like there's no argue about that. Where the argue is down the line of third, second, fourth, fifth round picks.
Yeah, it's been average.
That's been average. So if you got a guy at 9 that you love, take the pick.
I think they hold on to the pick. I do.
Yeah.
I think they do because, again, I haven't done nearly as much research on this as I usually would because 9 isn't 5.
Yeah.
But I heard that the top 9, you can't go wrong. No matter who you pick, you're getting a good player. And that's from what I've heard. And also, I think it's very important to have that help of guys on entry-level contracts who can come in and provide you with points who are making league minimum. It's extremely important to have. And, I mean, I think we hold on to the pick. I think I think Louis Eriksson we send him to the minors or we do something with him, but I think we hold on to the pick. I really do.
Yeah, I'm on mynhldraft.com. It says that at number 9, we'd be taking Simon Edvinsson, left-handed defenseman from Frölunda, Swedish Hockey League. I feel like I recognize that name from the World Juniors and stuff like that. He's like 6'4" defenseman.
I've heard of him, yeah.
I'm like I say, if you got a guy and you're in love with him and it makes sense, take him.
Yeah.
That's just it. We're kind of talking about the draft.
It's Benning.
If we stay at 9.
Yeah, I don't think we trade it.
No,
I don't see it.
Like I was saying, I just heard that Detroit was offering to move up from their 21. Right?
I don't know exactly.
Like I guess I have it right in front of me because I'm just fucking blind. 23.
23, yeah.
And I don't know who that's from, but essentially it was to take Louis Eriksson's contract, 23 and Louis Eriksson for our 9 and Louis Eriksson. You say, kind of, would you take that?
I wouldn't.
I said I think you need to throw in someone else, like a bottom 6 or bottom 3 pairing defenseman or something like that. Like that's. Might help out the organization.
It's only one more year of Louis Eriksson.
Plus, like you made a good point a while ago on podcast. I agree with having guys who can contribute on entry level contracts is really important. And Benny's a drafter, like he's a drafting guy, so I don't see him trading.
Yeah, like I said, every other top 10 pick in the Benning era has been a good hit.
Yeah.
So if you have a guy that you like, just take it. Like, we haven't seen Podkolzin yet, but it sounds like he's going to be on the team next year.
Yep.
So that sounds like a hit to me if he's going to be on the team in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
When Jim Benning said from the draft, we know that this guy's had setbacks and we're not drafting him with the expectation we're going to see him in 2 years.
Yeah.
But we are getting to see that. And so, we might be able to. I can't say yet. But all over the place. But so, I don't know. I just think that you just got to take it if there's someone there that you like.
When if you were looking at a vacuum, you can't really look at everything in a vacuum, but just unless a great deal comes along, it's not the time to be moving first round picks. You move a first round pick when you're so close to winning a cup, and what you're getting for it is going to give you a great chance at winning a cup. That is how I see it. We are nowhere near that. Now is the time to be drafting good players so that these pieces can come along and help get us there.
You know what? I agree with that. I didn't agree with that before, but I agree with it now.
Well, because if you were a good organization, someone like Cole Lind would have came around 2 years ago, and he would have actually be in our lineup already. That's just if we were actually drafting the way that we have all foreseen and still. See, this is one thing I started to kind of check myself on was I see Jim Benning as this drafting kind of god, but I'm like, okay, well, outside of the top 10, it's it's nothing. There's nothing there. There's no one really contributing to our lineup at all.
Yeah, you're right.
And even some of these guys we get freaking still ripped on, like Ulevi. and it just doesn't really make sense. So you just have to take those picks, and hopefully, like I was saying, here it says we'd be taking this guy. This site is saying we take a left-handed defenseman. He's like 6'4" from Simon Edmondson from the Swedish Elite League.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, looks like a big shutdown defenseman.
I looked in at a ton of mock drafts. We're always picking. Oh, I saw Mason McTavish a couple times.
I keep hearing his name.
And
Mason McTavish a lot. I've heard his name a lot on Twitter and just Sportsnet 650s.
there was one other guy that.
Where is he on this? Is he lower?
He's on at 7. So they have.
So
Brian Clark is another guy I've heard that we are interested in if he drops.
And that's the one thing that is beautiful about this draft, because there is that lack of games. We might get a guy that drops to us at 9 that's gonna be could be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
We've seen that happen before.
That was what Paul Colson. He was supposed to, but teams didn't like that he couldn't play right away.
And he was number 3, I think, going into the year, if not number 2 for most of it.
Yeah.
To be fair to these teams that passed on for that reason, I mean, a lot of these players that were picked over him are incredible talents and probably can be better than Podkolzin. I mean, Zegras, I mean.
Yes, but I do think that Podkolzin's a good fit for our team over those other guys.
I would take Zegras over Podkolzin in a heartbeat.
Sure, but at the time is what I'm saying.
Sure. All I'm saying is they had very legitimate reasons.
I don't want to judge this until I see how they do in the playoffs.
Fair enough.
And I do feel like Podkolzin's gonna be a fucking tank in the playoffs.
Oh, I like Podkolzin. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think everyone on that list ahead of him. I mean, except for honestly, oddly enough, Capo Caco has kind of been. He's playing. He's playing in the NHL, but
he's been underwhelming.
It wouldn't take that much to be much, better or more effective than him right now. But everyone else on that list: Kirby Dack, Bowen Byram, Alex Turcotte, Moritz Seider, Dylan Cousins, Philip Broberg. Let's see about him, and then Zegras.
Zegras is great, and then at 15 is Caulfield, right?
I just have this gut feeling that Podkolzin's going to be like a bigger Brendan Gallagher first in the playoffs. That's just my gut. That's how I see it. Like just that fucking tank of a guy who goes in at and just doesn't even care, just gets into it with people and just.
And it's just one of those things where it might be a blessing to have someone like that where he's kind of stuck in that league, because although we probably could have called him up just as early as Caulfield got called up, especially in our lineup. Like it's just the same as Montreal, where it's kind of like. We could still use someone in the top 6. So if you're going to be effective, Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, come on in. Like same with us. I'm sure Podkolzin, we would have loved to see him on the second line when we were all injured and had no one to fucking play. We probably would have called him up if we had that opportunity, but he was just being able to build his skill, and hopefully that will make him an immediate influence when he does get here. And he's just got that. Not saying that he will be the guy that does it in the playoffs, this, that, the other, but I think he might be a bit more ahead of the game because of that. We saw that with guys like Matthews, not comparing them, but when you just separate yourself, even though you probably could get in, having that little bit more. That's why college players seem to be kind of at the peak of their game, but when they are really good after 4 years, it's like, okay, because you were able to continue to build and build and build and now take this to the next level and you're ready to go. Guys like Dante Fabro, I guess, would be the immediate example. But yeah.
When I was watching him in the World Juniors, Podkolzin, really liked some of the things about his game. He was getting decent amount of goals. He was driving a lot of the offense on his line. He's very much a one-man show. Like there's not a lot of passing happening. It's very something I critique Bo Horvat on a lot is doesn't really utilize line mates so much. Podkolzin's the same way. He gets the puck, he drives the net, but he scored some big goals. And he's the guy. Was for sure the guy at the end of the game who was driving their offense, getting shit done. So that was great. There is some things that he really needs to work on, though. A lot due to positioning, a lot in the defensive end, and he needs to learn to utilize his teammates better. I mean, he needs to fill out a lot of his game for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the one thing I noticed that he did was when they weren't doing well and they're struggling and not performing, he was yelling at them on the bench. And that's what we need, because I feel like there's not enough guys on our team who have the balls to do stuff like that. And if he has that like JT Miller type guy who just will do what it takes to win and has that personality where he doesn't care if he pisses you off. Like, let's get going.
Mhm.
That's what I like. That's what I want to see.
I mean,
Yeah,
he was always the
he's not
captain.
bad.
He was always the captain of the World
Yeah.
Junior team the whole time he was there.
Oh yeah,
He's
he's definitely not bad.
character. He seems like a character guy to me. So, I mean,
I agree.
Sometimes maybe we didn't get a cold call fielder or a Zegras, but we got this other guy who.
Oh, I'm happy with Barbosa. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the people that were above him were
Yeah.
some great
Absolutely.
talents.
Absolutely.
That was a hell of a draft, though. I mean, that draft was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, people say that about Levy too, right? Like, I think he'll end up being a really good defenseman
still
in the
think he will
NHL,
be. I
but
still
it's just
think he
that
will.
of like you're just gonna look back and say that was just a really good draft, probably.
Yes.
You know, at least the first round. Like, there's just drafts where that's just gonna happen.
I wanted to, like, what the hell do you guys think we're gonna do with our defense? Because I cannot figure out how we're gonna make this defense work.
Well, I think that Nate Schmidt gets traded. I do. I
Yeah.
think he moves on. And from there, I think I've heard that we want to sign Adam Larson. Like, I keep hearing it on Twitter that we have interest in him. I don't know much about Larson. I know he's injury prone, so it kind of scares me a lot. But is he a top 4? I don't know.
Larson is a pretty decent defenseman.
When he's healthy, yeah.
But he does have injury problems, and
Mhm.
I think he's gonna make a decent amount of money. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't give him a long-term contract. And I wouldn't want to go over $4 million for him. I just don't. He hasn't been consistent enough in his career.
I would be happy with 4 on Larson. If we could do 4, sure. I mean, he's definitely better than Myers and
Yeah.
Schmidt. I mean, so 4.
And I think he's a good shutdown. You set him with
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes, and that would be your top line, like boom, boom.
That would be a much better fit.
I think
for our team.
I also like threw out the option. I don't think it would happen, but there's guys because I think they just take contracts elsewhere. But trying to get someone like Keith Yandel, maybe on a cheap contract to fill
Play
in
with
for
Rathbone.
Adler.
playing with Rathbone.
Yeah, like because he's an Iron Man guy. He's getting bought out
I wouldn't
from
mind
Florida.
that. Third
I mean,
pairing.
I no real reason to come here. Like, I feel like there's other teams that you could probably go sign with Tampa for league minimum and be fine there too.
Mhm.
So I think he probably has those options, but that's the reason why I also think Edler leaves because it's just that of like, well, as much as I'm loyal to the fan base, this, that, the other, it's like, well, if I'm gonna take a $1 million contract or league minimum, like, why don't I do that with Vegas, Colorado, Tampa Bay?
I am blown away by this Edler thing. I mean, this
Why?
is crazy. I just did not see it coming, to be honest.
I'm not
Because
surprised.
I thought if he was leaving, it was going to be because we wouldn't give him the dollars he wanted.
Yeah.
And strictly that. We were willing to offer the money he wanted. He's just. I thought he wanted to be a Canuck. Like,
How do you know we were willing to offer him the money?
Well, that was what went out. I saw a post on that.
I didn't see that. I saw his agent saying that he didn't think he'd be a good fit in the lineup going forward.
I saw a post by media guys, like prominent, and it
Yeah.
said it had nothing to do with what the Canucks offered. The Canucks made a more than a fair offer.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
He was. Yeah, that's what surprised me.
Oh, okay. I
Like,
misinterpreted you.
because I thought that he would want to be a Canuck and retire. Canuck.
Yeah.
So it's shocking to me that he wants to go and.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising. I was surprised by it too. I don't care. I'm kind of happy because I've had enough of Bedler. I've watched him enough. I've never liked him. I don't know. I just think he's a freaking softy. I was gonna say another word, but I can't. But I'm happy to see him gone. He can best me Kulo for all I care.
Yeah,
I'm sad.
I just think like same thing with not exactly
Oh,
maybe
I
the
don't
same
know.
with Keith, but kind of same idea of like,
Yeah.
okay, I've only got so much time left here. Do I think I have a good chance to win where I'm at if I want to win another one, or do I think maybe I go try somewhere else? I think more guys are just getting to that point where they're realizing maybe teams aren't as loyal to them, so why should I be as loyal to you? That's just
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's the reality of it. Like, at the end of the day, if you are at the tail end of your career, as much as you love to retire a Canuck, and you know what, he'll be in the Ring of Honor, and
You think he will be?
he's
Yes,
the
definitely.
greatest defenseman in our franchise,
kinda sad that
unfortunately.
he
Yeah,
is.
like it's not. I hate this. Like, no, I like he's great,
He will,
but like
yeah,
he
he's
is,
great.
and it's a wish we had better, but.
Edler was a really good defenseman. I mean,
Yeah, I
he
mean,
was.
we did what he needed to do.
In
for
his
career.
prime, in the 2011 year, he was very good in his role, but there's just so many moments where you're so stupid on the ice. I'm sorry. It's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole if I keep this up.
Yeah, Colin hates him.
Oh, I hate him. I do. He's just so stupid sometimes.
I really believe we were gonna get the nice, cheap, discounted contract on Edler,
Yeah.
and that was kind of a blindside.
He'll go to a team for 3.5, I think.
I'm so disappointed. I thought we were gonna get him on like nice $2 million contract.
Unfortunately, I wouldn't be surprised if we re-signed freaking Hamannik for like 1.5.
Oh, we're going to.
I don't think he will.
And
I don't
I'll
think he
flip
will.
this table when that happens.
I think he'll go to. He said he'll go to any team at this point. So.
No, did he?
He-
Now he's over it. Now he's over everything, eh, man? You Trav?
He wants more money.
Yeah, here. Oh, you know what? We don't want to let you get anything. We just think about myself, and yeah, fuck you.
He's. I don't know.
I get it. It was a family thing. Fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
like, come on. Like, the same thing. Like, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. And if he came back for 1 million, I'd be happy. But you're right. Like, he probably wants 3.5 million.
Rumor is he wants a big raise.
Yeah, I've heard it
And,
too.
like,
I've heard it too.
Like, where do you come off?
He's
Like, where
so
do you
mad,
get off?
like,
Fuck.
I don't know. Whatever. That's the type of guy where if he leaves, I don't lose any sleep at all. And same with Edler. It's like our defense was so bad last year. Like the only guy really give a shit who's back is Hughes, and that's it.
So let's go back to this though. So
Well, we
Schmidt
can't go
goes.
too much longer, but
Schmidt goes.
yeah.
So you think we bring in Larson?
Yeah.
So Larson, Hughes, Myers,
How's our right and left? I don't know.
Levy,
Rathbone is probably gonna be a full time.
Rathbone.
I think he will be. He'll be third.
So we still gotta bring in a sixth.
Yeah, but we gotta look at righties and lefties. Like, what does Adam Larson see? Righty or lefty?
I thought he was a lefty.
I know Keith Yano's a lefty, so it wouldn't work on the third
Well,
pairing.
no,
with
I mean,
Rathbone,
yeah,
right?
probably to get rid of him. Like, just
Larson's a righty. Larson's a righty.
So
Myers is a righty.
yeah.
So then
Hughes.
Schmidt's gone. Let's say Hughes is a lefty, right?
And Rathbone.
Is Hughes a righty?
lefties.
Lefty.
Hughes
I should know
left.
that.
Yeah.
Lefty.
So Hughes, Levy, Rathbone will be your left side.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, it depends. Like you say, if you go Larson, Myers,
Yeah, but
and
you can't put. You'd have to put Levy away from Larson because they're too similar defense.
yeah, I know. You go Larson, Hughes, Myers, Levy,
Yeah.
Which works.
Rathbone, blank. Like insert fucking defense.
Larson would be great for Hughes.
That's what I mean. I'm fine with that. But once
Yeah.
again, like Travis Green watches how many hours of film and doesn't see that Tyler Myers and Levy
Yeah.
play amazing together. So they
Yeah.
probably won't be together. Let's fucking be honest. He probably, exactly. Here, you know what? Let's go offense and offense. Let's go Hughes and Myers together.
That is really the infuriating part, is because like how you just laid it out, where if you did bring in Larson and you had Larson, Hughes, and then went Levy, Myers.
Mm-hmm.
In most scenarios, how you'd line this up, you probably end up with a hole in your second pairing. It just not being quite good enough. But we saw how Levy, Myers worked.
Yeah.
And we saw that it does work. And a lot of the things that they do complement each other. And we probably won't get it though. It's just.
That's why it's just like sometimes it just, people get paid too much to do jobs that I could do every day. I'm not cocky. I'm just, confident in everything I do.
Larson scares me, man, because this year you played 56 games. Before that was 49. Like that's just. I'm so sick of defensemen who get injured.
Yeah.
Ever since Tanev, I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it. I want a fucking defenseman who plays at least 75 games a year every year.
So I don't really care. I just want actual competent defensemen. Because
Yeah.
I am so tired of these guys who can't defend.
100%.
Yeah, fair
Like,
enough.
Give me Larson or a Tanev any day, because at least you get 50 games of defense. Right now we're getting 0 games of defense.
I mean, too, like people also just expect Rathbones ready after
I know.
8 games.
Well, he looked really good at the end of the year.
I know, but does that mean for 55 games, let alone an 82-game season, he's going to be good to go?
Well, that's why you swap Levy and Rathbone together. You just have them both kind of.
No, Levy has to be in your top 4.
He has to be.
If they fucking take, if Levy is a rotating out of the lineup this year,
I'm gonna find shoot somebody.
I might just not be a fan anymore. Like honestly, like it's so infuriating to watch.
It is.
Like this jersey right here, I'm gonna get another Stanley Cup one to go right there too. So like I might as well just join this team because it's
Is that recording?
working out a whole lot better. Yeah, it better be, or else
Okay, oops.
I'll snap.
I
I went and
actually
checked
don't
it earlier. It was fine.
Yeah,
it
that
was
was,
working.
yeah.
So I agree. You Levy
Yeah.
getting out should be the you even if you bring in Larson, you still need 2 right side guys. We have to bring in 2 right side guys.
Once again, you know my way, lefty and righty too. It's the same thing. Just get good defensemen who are smart, figure it out.
Yeah.
I think I'm out of words.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we should.
That was a good
Like I said,
almost 2
next like 3 Sundays we're gonna have expansion draft Wednesday, then we have the NHL entry draft Friday, Saturday. So next Sunday we're gonna have lots to talk about.
Yeah.
And then the next Sunday after that is free agent. July 1st, I think, is free agency.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
July 1st is July.
or whatever.
18th.
Sorry, August 1st. Dumbass. Whatever. You know what I mean?
Anyway, but first we need approval to do those.
Better ask Steve if we're allowed to do those dates. Steve Desi, let us know. But yeah, I just think it's gonna be lots of fun. We're gonna have lots to talk about.
It's
just
an
an
inside joke.
I don't know if he even listens, but Steve, just get back to us, please. Yeah, I think that we have lots to do. Over the next day or so, I'll do our little mock drafts and I'll put a little something up on the freaking Instagram. I gotta get on the social media
Hopefully
stuff
this
and actually.
uploads properly.
Yeah, I'll actually upload the video this time. The last one,
Well,
even though it was our
shitty.
first one, it was
It
pretty
wasn't very
cool.
good.
This is a lot better setup.
What's the one?
What's this?
You have sent this to you guys before. This is just so cool. We gotta get this to the viewers.
You want to speak volume for this?
Oh,
Oh my god.
Oh no.
was that what? Is that Tom Myers?
Yeah. It's so funny.
There's no
You
volume.
showed me this a long time ago. There is no volume.
Oh yeah, we need the.
There's no
Oh,
volume.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Oh my lordy.
Yeah, wait.
That is louder than Susan.
Oh no, I lost it.
Oh no, we broke it. Yeah, the problem is I don't have it set up yet, so I
Who
can let
made
the
that?
viewers see this video.
Is that Reddit?
But it's just, this is what happens when you use Androids, folks. It makes it hard.
What it is for the viewers is Tyler Myers is playing a 2-on-1 and he slides on his stomach so far out of position that a guy has him continuing to slide all the way to space.
We'll need to upload that clip because they don't have a clue what that even means.
Yeah, well, do anyone really have a clue at all of what we're doing here? Because if you're still listening, I thank you, and I'm sorry, but I love you. So have a great night, and yeah, another episode down, baby.
Alright, cool. What is it then?
Thank you for listening to The Hockey Hour.